How's it going, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Louis' Garage. So what are we doing today? We are going to be working on the Lotus Exige S again. There's a few other things that I want to do to this car before it gets back onto the road, and one of those things is going to be fixing a bit of a factory problem, and that is the vague sort of feeling that you get in the factory gear shifter. So here we have the gated shifter kit from GRP, or Greg's Race Parts, and I think this is going to help to make the shifter feel a lot better. It's going to make it a lot more positive in terms of the engagement. You're going to be able to see exactly what gear you're in as well, just by looking down at the gated shifter. Obviously, a lot of really high-end cars have this from factory, like Ferraris and Lamborghinis, but it's really cool that you can buy this kit aftermarket from GRP. And so I'll be trying to fit this into my car today. I've seen some videos online about this already, but I think they're all fitted to left-hand drive cars because this kit is from the US. So I'm going to be trying to fit it into a right-hand drive Exige S and see how it goes. Alright, so here we are in the interior. As you can see, the current shifter, it's just, you know, a leather gaiter, which is pretty normal, pretty standard on a car. And it's pretty loose. It's like that even when it's in gear. I'm not going to put it in gear right now, but yeah, it's like that even when it's in gear, unfortunately. So what are we going to do? We are going to be removing this piece of trim here, which is like a little cup holder or a little cubby hole, and that will allow us to get access to some of the screws back here. I think there's two screws holding this on, and then we need to undo the screws on the side over here as well to get the center console out. We'll need to undo the handbrake, just this aluminium piece here. That's pretty easy to do, and then hopefully we can just remove everything from there. There's the screw in there on this piece here, so it's just one screw, one Phillips screw. It's really easy to remove that piece. Yep, very straightforward. And then we've got a couple of screws down there. Oh, this one, I should probably reposition that. Maybe. I'm not sure what position that should really be in, but yeah, I guess that's okay. Yeah, we need to undo those two screws down there now. Right, so I've got this little piece off now. It's just those couple of screws, and then you have to unplug this plug, and then it should come out pretty easy. Cool. Readjust some of this stuff. Alright, next step is to get the handbrakes around off. That's going to be pretty easy. So it's 2mm Allen keys. So you just need to get an Allen wrench, 2mm Allen wrench, and undo those. Cool, they shouldn't be on too tight. And then we should be able to slide all this off as well. There we go, don't lose those. So I'll probably put the other one back. There we go. This little boot just slides off. Yours might be secured, mine is not secured, so it might be a bit of a difference there. I might actually make a bit of a change to secure it. It is a bit annoying hanging there in the middle of space. Yeah, and then we should be able to lift up this whole thing. Yep, there we go. And we just need to undo some of the wiring harness under here. There's some electrical connectors for the door switch, the door locks, the hazard lights, and also the traction control button. So just make sure you unplug all of those. Alright, so I've disconnected all the electrical connectors in there. There's 3 of them. This one here at the top for the hazard lights is actually the most difficult one. You got to press a tiny little tab in the green plug, and that releases the plug from the socket. Right, so the other tip is to put it into first gear like I've done here, and then we should be able to lift the whole center console out. Just like that. There we go, center console out. So the next step is going to be removing this shift boot. Now you can see the shifter mechanism in all its glory. everything that's going down in there. Is pretty dirty in there actually, but never mind. Might just give it a little bit of a clean up, a bit of a vacuum. So yeah, the next thing to do is to remove the shifter boot, and it's just usually held on by a cable tie on the inside here. So we just need to cut this cable tie and then we can remove the boot as well. So the next step is to take the shift knob off, and again that is just using an Allen wrench or an Allen bolt, 2mm on the side there, and that will allow us to disconnect the reverse mechanism and take everything off from the shaft. Alright everyone, welcome back. It's the next day because it was getting a little bit too dark yesterday to finish this project off. So what I've done is I've removed the reverse lockout, and what I found online was that my car's actually got the updated shifter mechanism, and the reverse lockout is different as well. So instead of having a cable that runs down through here and then into here, and the cable would usually pull down on a lever, we don't have that. So we've got like a couple of blocks of plastic that physically stop the gear shifter going into the reverse gear unless you pull up, and the block here attached to the gear shift moves over this plastic wedge down here. So in order to remove this reverse lockout mechanism, you might be able to see there's a little screw down there. It's very annoying. I don't know why they didn't make it into an Allen head, because you actually need to put quite a bit of force in to get this screw in and out. I may have to actually buy a new one because the screw head, as you can see, the flathead is a little bit worn out already just by getting it out. But we'll give it a try first. So yeah, basically now I just have to install the two plates, the bottom plate and the top plate, onto my center console, and then I should be able to drop this in, test it out a little bit and see how it shifts. Hopefully it works. Again, I don't think many people have done this for a right-hand drive car. Most of it has been left-hand drive, so we'll have to figure out if that works and if I need to bend the shifter or not. Hopefully not. And then yeah, we'll just give it a test. Alright, so here is the back plate of the shifter mechanism. As you can see, these little rev nuts, I think they're rev nuts, this sharp end, or the end that is protruding out, that is meant to be facing down. So this is down, because when we put the console upside down, that's going to be going down into the floor. Do not do this the wrong way around, because otherwise you're going to have this bit of metal going over to here, and it's going to block you from shifting into the right gears over here on this side. So make sure that you do get that on the right side. Also, you may notice that there's two longer screws and one short screw. The two longer screws are meant to be going into these riv nuts, and that is simply because they have more thread, and the short screw, along with the loose nut, is meant to be going over here at the back of the shifter mechanism, and we'll be installing that later, but we'll just put in these two screws at the front first to see how it all works. Alright, so one thing that I have to do before I put this on is actually file a little bit of a tab off. There's a little tiny bit of metal, I don't know if you can see that, but there's a tiny little bit of metal that's stopping the screw from going all the way into the bracket here. So I need to file that off, and then we should be able to put everything together. Alright, so a bit of a progress update. I've managed to get everything on and get the center console back in, just temporarily. I haven't plugged anything in because I knew that I would probably have to be adjusting things and taking things apart again. And as it turns out, I do need to take things apart because it seems like it doesn't quite work straight out of the box, at least not for me. So I think what we need to do is actually adjust one of the cables so that the gear shifter goes back just a little bit here. I think the gears actually go in place okay, you know, that's third gear, so that's okay. But just in terms of the neutral sort of cross-gate side-to-side action, doesn't seem to be adjusted quite right, and I can't push the plate any more forward because of this button here, so it seems like I need to do some adjustments. Cool, so I've removed the shift cable, or one of the shift cables, just by undoing this nut, which was back there, and then also undoing this nut. This is all threaded, so you have to actually undo it, and then also loosening up this lock nut as well. So I think because it's a little bit too far forward, it kind of makes sense to me that we should be moving the gear lever a little bit backward. So I'm going to try and turn my little joint here, so that it tightens and goes this way, goes towards the back of the car. I might just try and do like 3 or 4 turns and see how that goes. It's going to be a little bit of trial and error and just, you know, fiddling around to get it right, but hopefully I can sort it out pretty quick. Alright, so I've adjusted it as much as I can up here. There is a little bit more adjustment in the actual gearbox, you know, on the actual linkage that joins to, where it joins to the gearbox. But I think for now this is probably okay. So I can do neutral, side to side, okay. I can get into first. It is a bit of a challenge though, as you can see, and that's because I've got a right-hand drive car and the gear stick does bend that way. So there is a tip in the instructions that, you know, you may want to bend your gear lever if you have a right-hand drive car. I don't really want to do that, so I'm just going to try and see how this works. I might have to file down this side of the gated shifter a little bit, just so that it clears it a little bit better. But I think for now this is probably okay. It's only aluminium anyway, the gated shifter, so it's actually pretty soft. I don't think that's going to be a huge issue in the long run. But yeah, everything else actually works pretty well. I can get into, you know, second gear, that's second gear there. It doesn't go all the way down, but that's probably okay for now. So that's second gear there, and then that's third gear, that's fourth gear, fifth gear, sixth gear. Obviously I'm not sitting down at the moment, so it doesn't quite feel the same way, and it's a little bit tricky getting it into gear in the first place. So I might just wait and see how this goes. It looks like I can get into all the gears, and the reverse lockout works as well, so I can pull that up and I can get into reverse, so that's okay. Yeah, so I mean, it's pretty good in terms of, you know, a really quick and simple install. It wasn't really that difficult, and adjusting the cables was actually pretty easy as well. Yeah, I may just want to tweak it a little bit if I want to run it long term, but yeah, it's probably usable for now. So what do we have to do now? So we have to remove the reverse lockout, remove the gear knob again, and just plug everything back in at the bottom here. And then put all the screws and everything back in, put the interior back together, and it should be okay for now. I think I've done as much adjustment up here as I can anyway, so I don't think I'll be opening this up again. Any more adjustment will be done on the actual gearbox itself, so I'll just put everything back together. Alright guys, so I decided to take this off again and adjust it a little bit for the right-hand drive slightly bent shifter. So what I noticed was that it was actually making a bit of a dent in the middle here, and also here when you're trying to get into reverse and first gear. And it's not actually going to help trying to adjust the gear lever, because on the other side, on the bottom of here, you can actually see the same sort of dents on the opposing side. And that's because the gear lever is actually bent this way, like this. So it's actually getting stuck or getting wedged between these two bits of metal. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to just shave off just a little bit of metal here, a little bit of metal here, and a little bit of metal down here and down here, so that when it is a little bit bent like that and it goes into the slot, it actually slides freely rather than hitting either side of the metal here. So hopefully that works. I'm going to give it a try tomorrow, and we should be able to get some results. Otherwise, I'm just going to have to take more material off. Luckily this is pretty thick, so I don't think there's a problem. So I might just have to keep adjusting it and keep trying to get the perfect fit. So I'm really sorry guys, I forgot to take some footage of the finished product and the shifter actually working properly. So here's some footage that I recorded earlier on the GoPro run. I've already sold my car now, so it's a little bit too late. I can't really take any more footage, but hopefully you can see how the shifter works in the video. Now the only problem I had with the shifter after I adjusted it and filed it down a little bit so that it fit really well for the right hand drive shift rod, was getting from second to third gear was just a little bit frustrating sometimes. It did take a little bit of getting used to because there's quite a bit of distance between second and third on the gated shifter. But apart from that, I really enjoyed using the gated shifter. I think it's definitely a worthwhile mod. It just takes a little bit of getting used to. You might have to adjust it just a little bit, but it makes the car look incredible. It makes the shifting experience a lot better as well. It fixes a lot of the slop that's inherent in the cable system in the shifter. So I definitely recommend doing this mod if you're interested. Yeah, so it's really cool. And like I said, the car is now sold. I've got a few more episodes to upload on the Lotus Exige S, so watch out for those. Otherwise, I will be starting to upload some videos of my new car, just giving you guys a bit of a taster and some, some experience about, my new car and, what I'm doing with it, how I'm ordering it, where it's getting shipped from. So there's going to be a little bit more information about that on the channel as well. Alright, see you guys.